Hello and welcome to the college basketball podcast known as Three Man Weave. The boys, they're back again Friday morning, 7 a.m. That's our new podcast cadence, at least for one more week. Fellas, it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. Will you be my Valentine? I love you all.
No, I will not be
Okay?
your Valentine. Kai McEwen, sorry. Jim Root here. Gonna forge on my own, find my own Valentine here. Big weekend of hoops ahead, Kai. Number one versus number two.
Ooh,
That is currently my Valentine, so I'm excited about that. Big old Saturday of basketball. Matthew, are you gonna be Kai's Valentine?
please.
No, I think me and Kai are spoken for. Actually, well, Kai's been ditched. He's been abandoned. So he is in need of a temporary weekend Valentine's. Is that right, Mr. McKeon?
Yeah, the wife's in Mexico, or she's heading there right now for a bachelorette party. So, boys' night out this weekend, right,
It's
fellas?
it seems like she's boycotting prior failed Valentine's Day's
Yes.
experiences on your behalf. That's what it
She
sounds like. I
she
haven't
knew it was gonna be
confirmed, but
bad, so just let me
yeah,
get out of
out of
there
the
before you can
country.
even mess it up.
I am lucky my wife does not like Valentine's Day, so I'm never pressured to do anything, which is great.
Mine's rather ambivalent as well, which is great.
Yeah,
That's huge.
fantastic. Fantastic. Hello, college basketball podcast, Three Man Weave. Yes, if you've seen the show before, it's your standard fare. We're going to take you through some news and notes in our Roots Roundup section. Going to get into the We Saw That, which is observations that we saw, big games, performances, things of that nature from the past week. And then, of course, three-man thoughts, just our own musings of what we've seen, a little more opinionated stuff, more in the weeds stuff. Good things, all good things. And then, of course, we'll finish up with some previews and some reviews. We do have a really strange review this week, so stay tuned for that. That's
Oh, fun.
it really confused me. But anyways, 3MW_CBB is where you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Please do subscribe to this podcast on Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and also on YouTube. We are live right now on YouTube. You can see our faces. They're beautiful, especially Matt's. And you can
Now I
subscribe
can see
there.
yours.
Yes, subscribe there, like it, help us out. If you're into that sort of thing, again, live 7 a.m. on Fridays. Or you can watch the repeat whenever. And then, of course, yes, please do join the Burner Discord. The Burner Discord is where you can find our content the entire year. Betting content, conversations with us, questions about college basketball in general. All of that is in there, as well as other people that know things about college basketball, interviews during the offseason, all that jazz. Lots of cool news coming up with that. Stay tuned. But if you want to join, link in the description is the link to the website with our previews. It also takes you to a subscription link to the Discord itself. All right, fellas, that's our housekeeping. Let's start the show. Let's get into some Roots Roundup.
Let's do it, Kai. News and notes in the world of college hoops. Matthew, before we get that, though, a quick shout out to CBB Analytics, one of the best websites you can find out there for college hoops information and knowledge, and it's only getting better.
That's right, Jim. CBB Analytics, as we've been discussing on a weekly basis, new features, new data components that Nick and the team have added to the site over there on top of the already great baseline stuff that we love, the shot chart heat maps, the four-factor type breakdowns, the individual player and team statistics contextualized by certain situations, home, road, conference, non-conference, against Q1, Q2, against bad teams, all that stuff. And a new thing today I wanted to kind of point out, I've been trying to highlight something new each week, Kai, as we support the sponsors and hope that you would support our sponsors. We have a breakdown of points per possession based on situation. So my trivia question to you, again, great little statistic slice that Nick and the CB Analytics team offers here. Kai, who is the most efficient basketball team out of timeouts?
Ooh,
Who draws up the best stuff coming out of the set? What talking about sets here? You know, Jim loves a good crisp set. I'll give you a hint. It's a West Coast team,
okay.
generally affiliated with a smarter institution academically.
Stanford.
Yes. Actually,
Stanford.
number 2 is San Francisco, by the way. How about that? So Kyle Smith and Chris Krlovson, 1A, 1B, 1.15. There's actually a few teams just under that. Purdue's up there. BYU's up there. How about Providence, by the way? Kimmy English, number 4.
Okay.
Do we have to call out Todd Golden for being in that tree and not being in the top
And
five?
not being there? Where's
Carlson
Florida?
and Kyle Smith? Yeah.
Funny you mentioned, Jim. How about this? The best defense out of timeouts, Florida, 0.56 per possession.
Wow.
Like
Pretty good.
insanely low.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Anyway, just highlighting one of the many things that CBB Analytics has to offer. fun trivia there for you. Please be sure to sign up. And when you do sign up, use our promo code WEAVE, WEAVE. That's $40 off your subscription. Coaches contact us directly for access to the pro tier. That's the holy grail of everything soup to nuts, including the new NIL prediction model, help you get set up for your next year budgeting, player projection in terms of budgeting your roster, how that might look. He has all that broken down. So again, let us know what you're looking for. We can get set up. Thanks, Nick.
Well done, Matthew. No big overarching news in the sport. Overarching. I never know which one that is.
Both.
Both. I like it. Thank you, Kai. So nothing to hit there, but we have to have it's almost a Dan Hurley corner at this point on the podcast. Coaching world, Dan Hurley talking his ish, Kai, to the Creighton fans after UConn won at Creighton, flashing his hand up with no rings on it, but pointing at his hand and saying 2 rings, letting them know after they went into Omaha and won for the first time ever in the history of the UConn basketball program.
Yeah, great win for UConn and Hurley. I see a lot of praise for this behavior. I guess I'm okay with it. I like the nuances in college basketball, but I still think that's kind of clown stuff, Jim. That's where I'll lay it at. It's clown stuff.
He behaves like a player on a team,
yeah,
not like a coach. It's okay. Yeah. It's fun. It's good to have a personality, and college basketball is more driven by the coach personalities than the players because the coaches are around a lot longer. And I like that I guess I would like it more if he did this and embraced being a villain, not goes to the presser and is like, refs pay too much attention to me. Cameras pay too much attention to me. Buddy, you are being paid attention to because you do stuff like this, the laying on the ground at Maui when you're mad about a call. Like you got to pick one or the other. Pick a lane, just be in that lane and own it. That's all I'm asking of him. He can do this if he owns it. That's what I say.
I will say he's done a great job though of building his own villain monster. I mean, like the Creighton fans hate him. Like you can just see like in the crowd reactions, like holy cow, that fan base does. I mean, I'm sure it's many Big East fan bases, but there is a uniquely visceral reaction from Creighton fans. I can maybe understand if Hurley lost it in that game. That's the one maybe I might give him a slight pass for.
He called a guy in the stands baldy, which I thought was objectively hilarious.
It's so good.
Dan Hurley calling a guy baldy is funny to me.
I believe Dylan Burkhart from Hoops, Michigan Hoops, did a back study, and Hurley has, I think, by far the most technicals in NCAA basketball since he started coaching. Not entirely surprising at all, but and ejections. Most
number one was his brother, I think, Jim. Bobby was number one.
Oh, it was Bobby?
I think it's Bobby, Dan, like 1-2.
Okay, yep. That family likes to perform. There's no question about that. Shout out to Dylan for that. If you're a Michigan fan or not, or Big Ten fan, great content at Hoops. That is it for coaching news, and really don't have a lot to update here. No recruiting news, injuries. Again, we don't talk about every single little nagging thing that comes up. Try to keep the season ending, and unfortunately, we have one to talk about here. Baylor's Josh Ojanwuna, the starting center, basically their only guy in the rotation above 6'7", out for the season with a knee injury. Yeah, Matt, this is devastating for him. They got beat up on the glass by Houston the first game after this. It's going to be a lot of Omier at center. I don't know if they're going to be able to go to a bunch of small ball lineups, if they can dig deep into the bench and get some minutes out of that group. But it certainly hurts a team that already had concerns on defense, and now they don't have any size.
Yeah, they are 9th in the Big 12 in defensive rebounding rate. Not like terrible, but yeah, this is going to really crush them. They weren't great with them. They're going to be, I think, a disaster without them. So a lot on Omier's shoulders. I think we tend to doubt Omier generally just as like a gritty rebounder, but I mean, he has been pretty good. I just don't know how well he's going to hold up as a one-man band with that younger, especially with that younger team that they're going to rely on a lot of freshmen. I think defensively that could come back to bite him.
He just cannot commit fouls now. Like if he gets in foul trouble, they're playing Celestine at center, I guess. I don't really know what you do. It's going to be a lot of that amoeba zone from Baylor, trying to keep guys out of foul trouble and keep people away from Omier at the rim. That's going to have to be an adjustment for Mr. Drew. Other random news and notes here. Guys, I hope you saw the clip of Karl Ravitch during an SEC. I think it was Bama, end of that game, profoundly declaring like he had discovered fire, that the SEC is only 82-82 since league play started, or since January 4th. And it's just insane, Kai. We know Archie Miller fell for this a little bit earlier in the season in a presser. But man, the way Ravitch declared it, like he had just, found Atlantis or something. It's like, but man, it's just, that's not what you think it is.
I've noticed this more this year, Jim. Ravitch says a lot of stupid things when he announces the basketball game. And I mean just like asinine things. I don't think this was a bit. He was serious with this. And
Oh no, he was fully serious.
as a watcher of SEC basketball quite a bit, we get him and Dykes a lot. And that tandem,
Oh, I like stop
like
it. Don't
Jimmy.
go after my guy Dykes.
I like-
He's
kinda like
he is as
Jimmy.
SEC as SEC gets.
I like
baby.
Dykes.
Just
I'm just saying the
made for
IQ
that
in the
league.
booth when those two are together, it's not as high as normal for the announcers. No offense to Dykes. I like Dykes sometimes, but
Something
they
knows
say
ball.
some tough things.
I think Ravitch is a baseball guy, and he's
Yeah,
being
right. It's the wrong
shoehorned to
sport.
this.
I agree.
The disaster is when it's Ravitch and Jay Williams, and I'm just like,
Oh, yeah, that's the worst.
We're gonna go ahead and
Right.
mute the TV here.
Correct. Jay Williams should never be in a booth. I agree, Jim.
Other news: the top 16 reveal is tomorrow.
Wow.
The NCAA Tournament Selection Committee will come out with their top 16 teams tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central on CBS. Maybe you're listening to this on Saturday. It's today, February 15th, Saturday morning. Can't wait to see what they do with the amount of SEC teams that are going to be in there. I mean, typically, Kai, we know one of the bracketing rules is the top 4 teams in a conference have to be divided if they are all in the top 16. Well, we could have 7, maybe 8 SEC teams in the top 16 where you've got to have a 1 seed and a 4 seed or a 1 seed and a 3 seed. Like, do they try to bump some of the SEC teams up to 3 seed so they don't have to play a 1 seed in the Sweet 16? It's going to be a mess. And that goes with the other standard questions every year of who's going to actually be in this. What is this tournament selection committee going to emphasize after they announce these? I always love this show. It's like a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, and once again, Jim, it's one of the worst advertised things on earth. I just found out it was tomorrow, and college basketball is my thing. They need to advertise this more. Excuse me. Also, CBS tangent, YouTube TV. If you have YouTube TV, CBS is going away. This is bad timing for us. For me,
I think they have a temporary agreement locked in place as of last night. No,
as of last
I
night.
just saw this
Oh, I hope
email.
so.
Check your email. I think
Temporary
they did like a
they got a
temporary.
TRO,
Hey, we're
well,
fine.
temporary
Don't freak
restraining
out
order.
yet.
Yeah.
There's a big backlash. Yes.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have CBS and Turner Sports when the NCAA tournament comes
Yeah.
around, you
I
will
think you're
lose
good
a
for now.
ton of customers.
Oh, a ton.
I think you're good for now. I think.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Sorry.
Good.
Yeah,
Glad to hear it.
I know I was freaking out this too. As I was during my Severance late night watch, this came across my my timeline. I had to investigate. Yeah, I didn't actually finish. I fell asleep, so I got to finish it. Today.
Wow, Matt's just
Yeah, I
snoozing
know.
on the
That's such
job.
an
He's
old-
always
such an
he's so
old-
caught up on sleep. I know for sure. He's got plenty of it. One last little welcome or little news and notes. Welcome back to Dickie V, who was able to do the Clemson and Duke game last Saturday. His return to announcing after, I believe, over 2 years away from the booth. Really glad to have him back. Just the energy, the love for college basketball is always evident when he's talking about it. And to have him back in the booth was great. I do want to smack ESPN on the wrist for the intruding NBA coverage on Dickie V's return. It's like, hey, Dickie V's back. It's going to be on ESPN News for the next 22 minutes because the Lakers are up by 25 in the fourth quarter in a game that Luka Doncic isn't even debuting in.
Yeah.
It was a massive disservice. I hated that.
Yeah. ESPN. What can you say?
And then Monday night when Baylor and Houston were playing on Big Monday, they moved that to ESPNU in the second half because Luka Doncic his debut was starting against the Lakers.
Yeah,
they
that's
just
wild.
don't
Yeah,
give a crap about college basketball at all.
Yeah, ESPN loves NFL, NBA player movement dramas like that. That is to them the gold of all gold, and everything is about that, which is is what it is. Good for them.
As I've said, Matthew, people would rather land a top recruit than beat their rival
Right.
or make
It's
a Sweet
winning-
16.
It's
Winning the
the
offseason
personnel,
is
right.
way more fun. For some reason, I guess because it's all theoretical. I don't get it. They don't do parades for signing Umar Ballo and Miles Rice, Matthew. You got to actually win games. It's more fun.
I
that
think
way.
we'll look back at this last summer as we go into next summer. Hopefully, we have a good carousel this summer. I think last summer is definitely will go down as one of the all-time cycles. But I think there could be some dominoes to fall, and I hope there are some lessons learned for ADs with some of the kind of the big D swinging, like we won the hire because we got the bigger name who has been around for longer. It's like, okay, just get the guy who can coach. Doesn't matter
Get the guy who can coach.
what his
Yeah.
cachet is.
Indiana UNC could be at the top of the carousel, and lots of cascading effects down the carousel for that. So we will see. Maybe that will be the case. We don't know for sure on North Carolina, but we do know that IU will be conducting a search. That is it for Roots Roundup, Kai. I will kick it back to you for a big ol' heaping of We've Saw That.
We saw that as I change our lovely rundown, which I like. It could be a little bit better. It's
No, it's
aesthetically not fantastic. Anyways, that's the YouTube. Yeah, big games to discuss to start off here, fellas. What a week for Florida. The Gators smashed Auburn at Auburn without. They're missing Walter Clayton. No, Elijah Martin. Excuse me. They're missing Elijah Martin against Auburn. Go in the jungle, 10-point dogs ish, and just mess up the best team in the country. Mississippi State takes care. Florida also takes care of business at Mississippi State. Back-to-back huge road wins. The Gators are awesome. I'm glad I got in on those title odds when I did. I wish I would have gotten even further back. But, Jim, the injuries are a bit of concern. We're hoping that Martin and Condon can get back soon.
Yeah, Condon, bad rolled ankle, like 3 minutes into the Mississippi State game, maybe 1 minute in. It was really, really early. And you think they've also got Micah Handlockton on the bench all season from that disgusting broken ankle, broken leg at the end of last year. Got to get healthy, Gators, but they've got a month to do it before the tournament. We know this team is a national title contender when healthy. Kai, what odds are you sitting on?
35 to 1, I think.
Well, Jimbo's sitting on 60.
Yeah.
Yummy for a potential 1 seed.
I know,
God,
Jimmy.
for a 1 seed,
I know.
Jesus.
I know. I wish I would have gotten that.
There's this stat every year, though, of the team that's like unranked in the preseason and then gets a 1 or 2 seed, like never, ever makes the Final Four.
Were they unranked? I guess they were. Yeah, revisionist history.
I think so.
They're up to 4 right now in KenPom, by the way, which makes 4 SEC teams in the top 6, excuse me.
And like, I guess, and in seeding, like a lot of people have Texas A&M at a 2, so 5 of the top 8 are SEC.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Wow, are they really at 2? Holy cow. Yeah, Florida, so Bart's tourney cast, Jim, point out the flaws if I'm missing them, but he has Florida, Tennessee at 48 and 44% respectively to get a 1 seed, 44% for Houston as well. Kind of those 3 vying for the last spot. Again, very fluid early, but seems reasonable to me.
The betting odds, FanDuel has these minus 130 for Houston, plus 145 for Florida to be that 4th one. And then Tennessee plus 430 and Iowa State plus 430. Iowa State's got like no chance at a 1 seed anymore. Like they're almost drawing dead. So those are ridiculous odds. But Tennessee, maybe some value there at plus 430 if you're interested.
Got to do my first bracket of the season over the weekend. Can't wait. Always a fun exercise.
Get it done before the reveal, Kai. Do it before the reveal.
Shoot, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to happen. Hey, how about Michigan, fellas? The Wolverines, they keep sneaking by the skin of their teeth. I tell you what, they just took down Purdue despite trailing by double digits in the second half. They are now in sole possession of first place in the Big Ten. Half game up in Purdue, but they now beat Purdue. They are curiously number 5 in KenPom in the Big Ten, and yet stand atop the standings. Matthew, your thoughts on the Wolverines?
I love them. Obviously, my bias is well documented with Dusty and that team. I mean, like, even guys like I love Ladd at FAU. I was beating the Namari Burnett drum for years before he was on the scene. I was the biggest Trey Donaldson fan. So I just love this team. I just love the makeup of it. Obviously, we've been talking about the turnovers and their inability to sustain or expand leads. I'm going to give them a pass, though, frankly. Like, it's the Big Ten. It's hard to win games consistently by margin. And while I think some of those warts are going to come back to bite them, maybe I think this is going to be ultimately a very sexy team that people bet against or pick against in the tournament. If they get like a 4 or 5 seed, I just think people are sort of their trials and tribulations in close games has the way they kind of flirt with fire. I think people are sort of looking to view them as a paper tiger. I'm not sure I see them that way, but I think that's just going to be what the consensus bracket opinion is when people pick their stuff.
Oh, count me among the people that think that.
Ninth, you're among them. You're among
9th in offense, 7th in defense in the Big Ten play. I do not think this team is the best team in the Big Ten.
It's a valid point
by a long shot.
And they're not. Yeah, they're turnover. They turn it over and they don't turn you over. I don't like that as a
Yeah, they might
possession,
not
you're
win.
climbing an uphill battle.
Might not win a ton of shot volume in games, and people are skeptical of teams whose best players are bigs. Now, it's going to be unconventional for some mid-major to prepare for a 4 or 5 pick and roll. Good
Yeah,
luck with that.
yeah.
But yeah, I do think there is some juice to that theory just based on how much they give the ball
And they
away.
haven't been ground the glass either. Yeah. You know what? Okay. I could be a member of this flock, Kai. Consider me, put me on the watch list.
Yeah, put you
I
on the
might
watch
come around
list.
on
Okay, we'll do.
Michigan. Thank you.
St. John's, hey, what a week for them. They beat UConn, got control of the Big East, and then they just lost to Nova. So St. John's, a little flip-flop there. Still a very good team, in my opinion. Crazy ending in the Villanova game. Lots of drama. Dixon is an absolute animal. I mean, that guy, All-American level. I don't know if they actually get it because Villanova's not fantastic, but he deserves to be in the conversation. And then Creighton takes down UConn. So the Big East, lots of drama this weekend. Excuse me. UConn beat Creighton, Jim. 1-1 split, I believe.
Yes. Oh, did I? Yeah, I miswrote that. Creighton did beat Marquette over the weekend. The top three were all going at it a bunch over this past week. Quick plug for Jim writing at The Athletic. Wrote up a summary of that St. John's Villanova craziness right after it happened. And yeah, it sets up a big one on Sunday at Madison Square Garden, which we will talk about quickly in the preview section at the end of the pod.
We will indeed. Hey, how about Kentucky sweeping the Tennessee Vols? Looking great. Lamont Butler still kind of iffy with injuries.
He re-injured the shoulder, aggravated it against Tennessee. They hung on. They've now beaten Tennessee twice with like 20 total minutes of Lamont Butler, which is rather shocking. But then Jackson Robinson also like a really iffy long-term outlook from Mark Pope. So
yeah.
both those guys ailing. But Kai, you know who stepped up in that game? The freshman Trent Noah had a big performance, hit a bunch of threes. I like those guys. They got some chutzpah to them for the Wildcats.
Some piss and vinegar.
Gamers.
Sneaky athletic. Yeah, Trent Noah. Okay. How about Clemson? Matthew, Littlejohn, House of Horrors for Duke. Indeed.
Yeah.
They lost to Clemson at Clemson. Dickie V on the call. Haha, I guess, if you still like Duke.
Matt, are you mad at the mopping kid at the end of the floor for Cooper Flag slipping at the end? Are you blaming the mop boy?
Has he now slipped 3 times in game-winning situations?
It's at least twice.
Is he a flop slipper? Is he a flipper?
Yeah, he's
People are asking. People are asking.
Yep.
No, Jim, I forgive that kid. I also know that Littlejohn is just a place that bad things happen consistently. Although Duke had actually been pretty successful heading into that game. It was shocking to see. I just almost felt like we thought Duke was pretty convincingly going to run the table in that conference.
Clemson, I think we like minus 108 to go undefeated.
Right, to go, which is obviously like that's still a coin flip, but just as dominant as they were and as bad, frankly, as most of the ACC has looked, that was. I think with the ACC, you look at teams like Louisville and Clemson, and I think they're kind of lost in the shuffle between the Duke love and then the rest of the ACC sucking. I think people tend to forget about how good Clemson and Louisville have been, frankly. I think those are going to be two kind of maybe underrated teams that TO and the ACC band Kai will come out singing about when the bracket comes out.
I agree those teams are good. That's it. It's those 3 teams.
And that's probably it.
Duke will win the rest of their games. They're at Carolina at the end of the season. That's maybe their one.
Is there a blueprint with the Clemson physicality? I mean, the Loch Ness Monster Gym was terrific in that game. Maybe was that just a 1-game outlier, or is there like if we have a guy, a bruising big that can mix it up?
That's I think Duke got a little shell-shocked by the environment and holy shit, we're in a close game. We're almost never in close games. So maybe you could do the, hey, this was good for them kind of thing. Not good to lose, but just good to be in a close game, that environment. And yeah, they got completely out physical. The margin on the glass wasn't as big of a slaughter as I thought it was while watching, but it just felt like
yeah, I agree.
Clemson got every loose ball. Yeah, so hey, that's something Duke can learn from.
In the SEC, yes, congrats. A&M and Ole Miss likely, we'll call them locks of the tournament now. Ole Miss beat up the Pillows, Georgia and LSU. A&M.
Georgia a pillow, Kai says.
Kind of a pillow. Yeah. Or is it South Carolina? Sorry, LSU, South Carolina, not Georgia.
Yeah, I think LSU is a real pillow.
Excuse me, not Georgia. I'm just so used to Georgia being a pillow. They're not a pillow this year, Georgia fans.
There's only one pillow, and it is LSU. LSU is the sole pillow in that league. I know South Carolina is 0-11, but that's a better team than LSU. I'm sorry. I just firmly
probably agree with that. Yes.
Mizzou goes to Georgia tomorrow. Don't you
put
bad juju on us by calling them a pillow. Yeah.
A&M, they beat Mizzou at Mizzou. Mizzou probably should have won that game, and then they beat Georgia, not a pillow. So A&M like Jim said, in the mix for a 2 seed right now. Kansas State, I will talk about them a little bit later in my thought, but holy crap, man. I mean, they just won their 6th straight game, beat Kansas and Arizona in Manhattan. It's nuts that they're kind of reviving themselves. And then Indiana pulled a complete head scratcher of a move, beating Michigan State by I think a couple possessions on the road at Sparty. Matthew, your Hoosiers are not going to go quietly into the night.
No, and Tom Izzo will not sleep until he learns how to play offense against the zone. I think we've had some really good thematic call outs on this podcast this year. I think the zone has been one of our best takes. Like we've seen that element of a wrinkle be like a major impact of very, very high profile games, this being among them. The fact that Mike Woodson outcoached Tom Izzo is something I will remember forever. But yeah, that was weird. It reminded me of that game that Devontae Green got hot at Sparty like 4 years ago, where like Indiana was like a corpse, and it was like,
the only
Indiana
good
won at
offensive
Sparty
game ever.
Yeah, I was like, okay, sure. And then no one really takes it seriously. I agree with the sentiment that Indiana is actually not going to be as good as home going forward, because it's like they're in too much in the toxic anti-Woodson muck. But when they leave, we might actually see them play to their true potential. I don't know. We'll see.
Matt, are the boys rallying around Woodson? The young men
I don't know.
Playing for their guy?
I think they're rallying around the bags of money that Woodson and the collectives got them. I'm not sure if there's really any Woodson allegiance, but we will see. Ball is spending about half that cash at, I think, upstairs at Kilroy's so far this year as well. So
as he should. Great bar.
As he should.
And then finally, in the big game section here, UC San Diego beat UC Irvine by 18 on the road. The Tritons, as Matthew likes to call them, the Tritons for everybody else, they are in the mix for an at-large. We had a question in the chat this morning. Are they an at-large team? The resume metrics, they're 54th in resume metrics, so you can think about the bubble. That's about in that area. Just 2-1 Q1, 0-1 Q2. It's not a lot of high-quality games. The record looks good, 21-4. That's a part of the process, but I think they have a little bit of work to do. Again, I'm diving in this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah, hey, I'm the author of the Bubble Watch for The Athletic.
Sure.
So
Jim, I have it right here.
I think they're squarely in the mix. I mean, they've probably got to win out, and at that point, the resume metrics aren't going to get worse. So that would, get them right into the mix. And I think they're going to get a lot of credit for the road win at Utah State. Just like, hey, nobody else has won there. Maybe New Mexico did. I can't remember. But just, hey, you had your opportunity and you actually took it. Like that you got to reward a team for that. So I hope the Tritons get in if they do win out to the Big West final.
Give us 2 Big West teams. Do it. You won't.
Please
do it. They didn't give us Indiana State.
Jim, who has the
anything.
better resume right at this? It sounds like they were neck and neck per your most recent update.
UC San Diego and Irvine?
And Irvine, yeah.
I think probably UC San Diego because of the big Utah State win. Like the headliner, Irvine's resume metrics are a little bit better. But just having that one win is something that the committee can point to, I think.
So if you're rooting for the Big West 2-bid thing, what you want is both those to win out and then Irvine to beat UC San Diego in the title game. That's the most likely.
I think so. I mean, if they both win out, there's a chance that it wouldn't matter and the loser would still get at large. But do we really believe that'll happen? TBD.
How about big games, fellas? Liam McNeely was the talk of the town. 1, because he plays for UConn, and number 2, because he went to Creighton and put up 38 points and grabbed 10 rebounds. Good job, Liam McNeely. He's very, very good.
Totally changes their season.
Yeah,
changes their season. That's like if you're 1 or 2 seed, you get UConn as your 7 or 8 with healthy McNeely. You're like, come on.
Yeah,
we didn't deserve this.
Indiana could use him maybe. Miami of Ohio, Cam Kraft, former Xavier, I believe, and Jacksonville State. Am I off on that one?
I think just
Xavier.
Stop
in between? I'm not sure. Maybe just Xavier. I think he followed Steele. Yeah, Xavier. 40 points and 1 rebound on Tuesday night was the stat line. 40 points, 1 rebound, nothing else.
No assists. I love that line so much. Just I get buckets. Do not ask me to do anything else. Let me shoot, coach. And hey, shoot he did and make a lot of shots he did. That's a great
Are you
line.
in on the Red Hawks now? Are you sold?
No. I'm not. Did they cover?
I guess I'm not sure. I'm asking. I don't know what the
watch.
context of my question is.
Yeah,
do you think they're better
12
than everyone
Toledo.
but Akron? I think so.
I think they're better than I gave them credit for earlier in the year. Yeah, sure. But
Akron's
I
up
still
to 90 at Ken Palm. I mean, unbelievable.
I think Akron's incredible. I think Travis Steele is still a fine coach, not a great coach.
Not as good as you're saying. Worse than his brother.
Worse than his brother.
Grossi.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, John Gross and Travis Steele are brothers. That's crazy. JT Toppin, 41 points, 15 boards, not bad. 17 for 22 shooting. Yeah, double overtime win. Crazy game. Talk about crazy games. Texas Tech over Arizona State. Hey, nice job by the Sun Devils hanging around. But Texas Tech pulls it out. Insane.
By addition by subtraction without Jaden Quaintance?
No.
Grant McCaslin talked about it in the post game. He's like, well, they just roll all those guards out there. I don't know how the hell you guard them. They don't have a non-shooter Quaintance kind of junking up or mucking up the paint. Texas Tech had a really tough time guarding them, but man, they just scored at will inside. Toppin was great. Darian Williams was great. And Matt, Christian Anderson down the stretch, they moved him to point guard so they didn't have to have Hawkins out there getting picked on at 5'9". Anderson made some unbelievable reads in the pick and roll. I'm so in on that guy being a star.
Yeah, like so the Texas Tech love is like everyone loves Texas Tech now, and I think we're just sort of glossing over the fact that
Get off my bandwagon.
Yeah, so the bandwagon, it's crowded. It's not a fun bandwagon anymore. It's just like you're here too. But we've kind of excused some close calls from this team. And I still think it's an awesome team, but it's still a little bit. I still fear for a second round maybe early bounce for this team. And I don't know why. You kind of like Baylor, they are relying on some younger, especially if Anderson really comes to the full. Like they're going to probably need him. I mean, I don't think they're all that deep, frankly. This was kind of the issue that bit them last season.
Had a great 8 and then big drop.
Nothing right after that. One more injury, and they've already had 2 of those 8 been injured most of the year. I don't know. We'll see. Everyone's really like beating their chest on the Texas Tech futures values. I'm like, okay, yeah, 3 seed, whatever. You're probably right, but I don't know. The Arizona State thing, McCaslin wasn't even that bothered by it. He's like, oh yeah, they just made a ton of shots. Like, I don't know, you give up 100 Arizona State. I just a little not great feeling with Texas Tech. Kind of bad vibes.
Sean Phillips, career high for Arizona State, the 7-foot center, 15 points. If you've ever watched Sean Phillips, you'd be surprised that he scored 15 points, especially against Texas Tech.
That is pretty crazy.
I think it's a lot of dunks, yeah. Mr. McEwen.
Yeah, Toppin had plenty of dunks against him on the other end, but right. It was weird. Weird game. Very, very weird game.
Weird game indeed. Arizona State not going to make the tournament, most likely, unless they win the Big 12, which stranger things have happened, Patrick Ewing. Okay, bad loss section to finish off. We saw that. Wake Forest, what are you doing? Get out of the freaking tournament. This program, year after year, gosh, I like Steve Forbes, but man, it's making it difficult to love him, especially on Valentine's Day. They blew a 16-point lead at home to Florida State and pick up a Q3 loss. You just can't do that, Jim. You just can't.
Yeah, their whole thing was, look, we don't lose to bad teams. That's why you got to keep us in. Our resume metrics are good. Send us to Dayton. And then, Matt, beware the jet lag game coming back west to east. West to east is harder, folks, than east to west. And it's shown in a lot of teams' return game. Purdue lost at home to Ohio State and their jet lag game. UCLA loses every game when they go west to east. And you see this game where Wake was up and then just couldn't hang on. Some unbelievably bad basketball in the final minute of this game by both teams. Florida State was up 1 and had the ball in the open court and could have just dribbled out the clock. Instead, they dunked with 1 second left and then fouled on a 3-pointer at half court. And thankfully, Hildreth missed the first of 3 that would have tied it up. But man, just some idiocy. And yeah, Wake, this could be the one on Selection Sunday that keeps them out because they now have a Q3 loss.
Hildreth, 83% free throw shooting.
Deja vu of last year. It does feel like deja vu of last year. Although I do have, again, SMU on the road. Big opportunity there.
They're not going
to go to Duke. They're not going to win at Duke, right? No. Yeah, and after that, that's it.
18-point dogs at Duke. I mean, they did put a 25-4 run on Duke at Wake, but I do not see that happening at Cameron Indoor.
2 games that they don't want to play, Virginia and Georgia Tech, who are both kind of like not terrible right now. They've been better, and you lose that game at home, that's just going to kill you. And that's a tricky maze to navigate down the stretch.
Yeah, ask Pitt about hosting Virginia, how that can go.
Wake has no balls. Team has no balls. I'm calling it. They have no balls, and I know balls. Okay, last game.
By the way, real quick, there's real momentum to keep Sanchez at Virginia. Like,
why?
Very serious people think he has proven that he deserves a job, and they have played better recently. I'm curious if Virginia fans want to respond to this on Twitter as a comment. Like, people
they've beaten one top 100 team since November 15th.
I agree. I think it's. I don't think
idiotic.
He's the guy. I don't think he's the guy, but
Dave Ladow had.
I'm 100% sure he's not the
Dave
guy.
Ladow had 3 better Virginia teams than this Virginia team in Ken Pom. Pete Gillen, every single team was better in Ken Palm than this year's.
Yeah, but
grade.
Leitao had Sean Singletary, one of my all-time favorite ACC players. Guy was an absolute
player.
killer.
Anyways, Nichols. I just wanted to call it Nichols. Lost a home game, Northwestern State. You beat McNeese, and then you do that. Northwestern State, not terrible, but Nichols.
Where was that hangover game when I bet Incarnate Word against Nichols?
Yeah,
Gosh darn it.
Southland talk from the Weave. That is the end of Weave Saw That. Let's head into some three-man thoughts. But first, an advertisement from our lovely sponsor, Home Field Apparel.
We are sponsored by Home Field Apparel, the lovely clothing company that makes the best college sports gear in all the land. You've got some football stuff, some basketball stuff. You got jackets, sweatpants, the new hockey sweaters, Kai, that have a hood. They're the sharpest things you can find. I hope they continue to roll out different schools for that. There's Power 5 all the way down to D3 schools. It doesn't just say school name on the chest. They've got creative different logos. I had a buddy text me last night for our promo code because he was digging into the SLU stuff. Gonna get some new Billikens gear. It's the best. It's super comfortable. I'm wearing sweatpants from Home Field right now. You can also tweet at them at Homefield APPARL, Homefield Apparel, no E in there. And you can ask, hey, get my school, and they will be responsive because they are constantly trying to add more schools to their repertoire. And you can get your school in there and get your new gear via Home Field, the best college apparel in the game. Use our promo code 3MW at checkout for 15% off your first purchase. That's promo code 3MW. Home Field Apparel, wear one for the team, Kai.
Fantastic, Jim. Matt, do you have any thoughts today?
I do have a thought.
Okay.
Do you want to start?
Yes.
It's an extension of Jim's bubble watch. I wanted to peel back an extra layer there.
So I went through Jim. Are we gonna peel an onion? I don't want to tear up.
I love peeling onions.
You do?
I do. Yeah, I love onions. Like every meal has to have an onion involved. Big onion guy. Jim, you classified your bubble watch teams as locks, should be in the mix, and on the fringe.
Oh yeah, and so, every commenter loves my classifications.
Right, I did them perfectly. How do you even come up with something that people don't actually disagree with?
People get mad.
I went through and I wrote down all of the in the mix teams. There are 5 from the ACC. Sorry, 4, 5. There are 6 from the Big 12, 1 from the Big East, 4 in the Big 10, 5 from the SEC, and I think you had 8 from the rest. And I'll rattle them off pretty quickly here. I wrote down 3 that I think are going to fall off and 3 that I think are going to play their way in. So basically, Kai, it's sort of this sort of mushy bubble group, 3 teams that you're like, yeah, I think I'm a buy low on that team. I think they're going to get there, and then or 3 that's like, nah, that team's not going. So ACC, UNC, Pitt, SMU, Wake. I think Wake's sort of we've talked about them. I'd throw them out. Big 12, BYU, Cincinnati, K-State, UCF, and West Virginia. Big wins. Not a lot else. Big East, really just Xavier. It's just a lot of haves and have-nots in that league. Big 10, Indiana, Nebraska, Ohio State, USC. SEC, Arkansas, Georgia, OU. Cannot believe OU's still in this mix after their disaster recency, but I guess when you go undefeated in the non-con, it certainly gives you a good cushion. And then Vanderbilt and Texas still kind of in there. The rest, Boise State, Drake, George Mason, San Diego State. I should probably put those guys together. Sorry. San Francisco, VCU, UC Irvine, UC San Diego. I'll start while I let you guys digest that. But basically, I wrote down, like I said, 3 teams for each group that I'm like, okay, yeah, I think they're going to get there or not, just for a variety of reasons. First off, I think Indiana is going to be toast. I think they're going to slip. I think they're going to take a 1 or 2 bad home losses down the stretch. So I have them kind of trending toward the outside of the bubble. I also think Ohio State slips. I kind of think Nebraska slips too. Yeah, I think all 3 of those Big Ten teams I'm very worried about. Big Ten, where Nebraska without Burke up front. They had some injury. I know Bryce Williams is kind of banged up. They did not look great last night. I know Maryland's really good, so it might just be a Maryland is awesome
it was
story.
A flu game for Nebraska.
Yeah, flu game. Okay, that's fair. I think they needed that one last night. That was at home. Nebraska at home was like they need to beef their home wins. So Kai, Big Ten, I'm sort of selling that group. Big 12, K-State, I mean, I think that's sort of the story here is like I think I'm all the way on K-State. I think they're going to make a push. They're going to get in. I think West Virginia will do enough. UCF, no. Cincy, no. BYU, no.
Wow, you're so
Um,
so easily discarding your
I
Bearcats
know.
that you adored coming into the year.
I know. I'm done. I've seen enough. Wes Miller's over that team, and I know they played 2 games in a row. Who cares? Um, and then in the SEC,
Oh, wait. On Cincy, did you see Wes Miller got mad because somebody asked him about dodgeball again? He's like, "We're not a dodgeball
no.
team. We're a basketball team." It's like, dude, that might have saved your season. Lean into it. It's a fun bit.
Well, you kind of look like one right now, Wes. Um, and Kai, and then from the rest,
Yes.
I think George Mason and VCU are both kind of screwed because the A10's just too many. There's too many landmines in that conference. That's my concern with those two teams. I think Drake and UC Irvine, UC San Diego have an advantage because of their conference. I think they just sort of have a more maneuverable conference. You can argue
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
against Drake for sure. I think that's fair. They've low possession game. They have some close calls. Um, and then Boise, I'm selling. I think but the one team I'm the most bullish on of this entire bunch to make a big push is the Aztecs of San Diego State. I've said it all year. I think their ceiling's the highest
Have you?
of this group.
You hated San
Yes,
Diego State preseason.
early. I said I like them right now. I said I'm gonna like them later, and we're getting to later. We're approaching later. So in
Rest
They
summary,
time.
just
my
can't play.
teams to
Just don't let
watch.
them play San Jose State because they have not
Yeah, well,
solved San Jose State in the first half.
If Tim Miles decides to be a white label coach for any coach in the tournament, no one wants to play them. But anyway, so in summary, the 3 teams I like are San Diego State, K State, and and SMU. That was my third team I actually really like as well. Who we were right about preseason that no one took us seriously.
Yeah. I do have some overlapping thoughts in my thought here, but I do agree with San Diego State. I mean, four Q1 wins, by the way, right now. The resume is like getting pretty solid. They just can't.
Houston
They've
on a
been
neutral is
inconsistent.
gonna
That's
age
been their trouble.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So yeah, just can't take any bad losses down the stretch here in the Mountain West. I think they'll get there too.
Yeah, UNLV home loss is not great for them, and they twice have flirted with disaster against San Jose State, but took enough care of business there. And yeah, they've got New Mexico home, Boise home. They have to go to Utah State. Spectrum Magic, Matthew.
Jim, so just to summarize, sorry, San Diego State, K-State, SMU, I think they're going to be in, like, of those, love those 3 the most relatively, and then Indiana, Nebraska, and then I put Mason and VCU as kind of a combined one team because I'm just sort of selling the A10 as a tough minefield for them to navigate.
Oklahoma.
Man, I think you can get if they go like
6 and
5
12
and
in the
13
SEC. Yes, 19 and 12
Yeah,
overall,
6 and
6 and 12 in the SEC. Put them in.
with really good non-conference wins. Like it's not like they just went undefeated. It kind of reminds me of Iowa State in 22 when they went undefeated in the non-con, had some good wins. I think they beat like Memphis and Xavier, and then they went 7 and 11 in the Big 12. Got an 11 seed, beat Wisconsin, I think, in the first round or maybe the second round.
Sounds right.
They won a game. So yeah, they're the kind of the poster child for awesome non-con. How bad can the conference play go?
Yeah.
And 6 and 12 would be a very fun talking point.
For comparison, OU 45%, San Diego State 43% likelihood to make it per Bart. Obviously, playing in the Mountain West, much more likely you can actually win that conference. I mean, OU has no chance to win the conference tournament. Like none. That's going to be impossible to win that. If you're not beat Auburn and Florida, no way.
Now, I will say, if you keep rechecking the odds on FanDuel, you're going to get some pretty good numbers on Nebraska and Ohio State to miss. I think they're
George agrees.
to do so. Georgie.
Ohio State's not going to miss the tournament.
You don't think so? Okay. I think
the only way they would lose
is swoon coming there.
They would only miss if they had just sheer loss numbers because their top end wins are really good. Their metrics are pretty darn solid right now. And Matt, they are favored in 5 of their final 6 games per KenPom. So we'll see if they have that swoon.
Yeah, and that's why I think they have a bigger downside for bad losses. That's my concern there with the Buckeyes. All right, sorry, I was going through Jim's bubble thing this morning, so that was my cobbled together thought on a lot of good teams, but a lot more to shake out here. Hopefully the mid-majors rise up and take some of this power conference fat out of the mix because there is a lot of fat on some of these. Like, get Wake out of here. Pitt.
It's every single year, though. And last year we had a lot of fat, unfortunately, because of the bid stealers that came from the power leagues.
and Virginia. Get out of my tournament.
Virginia, that's right. And they did really well in their first round game against Colorado State. It was a good showing for the Hoos. Okay, I will just continue this a little bit because I'm talking sneaky tournament teams. So a couple that Matt mentioned, but we'll go more in depth in their resumes. So SMU, I got 4 teams here. SMU, Cincy, Kansas State, VCU. SMU, Matt was right. We were laughed at. I think it was it Matt that wrote ACC or was it Jim? Matthew?
I think I wrote it. I think I wrote ACC.
And
yeah.
I know you had SMU pretty high. I ranked them pretty highly as well. People laughed at us. I got self-conscious. Maybe you did as well. Well, guess what? They're 10-3 in the ACC, looking pretty good. 19-5 overall. 0-4 against Q1. That's not great, but 5-1 against Q2 is pretty darn good. If they go like 24-7, 15-5 in the ACC, like Ken Pom suggests, it's hard for me to see them out of the tournament with those numbers. Their average resume right now, Jim, is 44, so they're like as bubbly as you can get right now.
Yeah,
Jim, real quick, I worry that this is like last year's SMU team with Rob Lanier. Like the beat up on bad teams, haven't actually proven anything against good teams. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. They probably have to beat Clemson on February 22nd as like a look. We actually beat a team that's going to be in the tournament. It's not on the team sheet, but wins over a tournament team is going to be something the committee could easily lean on to be like, you didn't beat anybody. We're not letting you in. Kai, this team is going to end up in the Enfield zone. They're a little above it right now at 38th, but between 45th and 55th, they're going to land there. That's where they belong. It's the natural habitat for Andy Enfield.
They have one win against the top 80 Ken Pom team.
And it was Pitt, who right now is playing like a 150th best team.
Yeah. The tournament's tough to pick.
Hey, Cement Rocks, by the way, the freshman, that was actually going to be a theme I was going to bring up is like themes from our show this year is like international bigs have been really, really good this season. There's been a lot of fun ones that have emerged.
He's weird because he's huge, but he's really ground bound. Like he's not a shot blocker. He's not bouncy. He's just massive and just gets in the way.
Kind of skilled. Got a little skill to him. Yeah, but not a rim protector, I would say. I guess in college he is because he's so big, but like in the NBA, that guy's not going to protect any rims.
Yeah.
Matt declared Cincy dead. Also, by the way, kind of fun. Xavier Cincy are right next to each other in Ken Pom.
I've got a question about them, Kai.
Oh, okay.
Question about them.
3 straight wins for the Bearcats. They were dead, and now they're kind of back. They're in the mix. 58th in resume is not great. 1-7 against Q1 is bad. 6-2 Q2 looks very good. So you put those together, 7-9 total. There's a chance for the Bearcats. Their schedule down the stretch is brutal. At Iowa State, at Houston, at West Virginia, and hosting Baylor. Tough, but lots of chances for them to get Q1 wins. If they were to get some of those, the Bearcats have a really good shot.
There's a stretch where they scored 88 combined in 2 games against Baylor and Kansas. And their last 3 games, they scored 93, 84, 85 against UCF, BYU, Utah. Not like total slouches. The UCF game was away from home. Like they were auto bet under for most of January, and now they're scoring 80 a game. So they've clearly found something, getting a little looser and making shots.
They have potential. This team can be really good. We know they can be very good. So I hope they revive. But
they need some shooting. I think the Reed kids made some shots, but like it reminds me of like the Chris Jans teams of last year. It's like
the Reed kid.
And you guys hate that. Jim Roll, we can say that now. It's fine.
Call him Reed or the kid.
It's one of those things where it's like I think Miller's still like, oh, I think we just haven't made shots. It's like you never had good shooters. Like you can't it's like Mike Schwartz at ECU. It's like you can't recruit terrible shooters and then be like, we're gonna start making shots. It's like, no, you're not. Your team sucks at shooting. That's my concern with Cincy long term. There's no actual good shooters on this team.
Except for your boy, Sheamus.
DJ Frederick. Playing 10 minutes a game last 3 Jim. 10 minutes a game.
Lacochis is a good shooter.
Yeah, fair.
Kansas State. Now, there's probably not a world where both Cincy and Kansas State I guess it's possible. I don't think they play each other down the stretch, but
they do. March 5th.
Oh, they do.
At Cincy.
That might be the game of the tournament. Kansas State was absolutely dead to the world. 7-11, 1-6 in the Big 12. Now they've rattled off 6 straight wins, 4 of which were Q1. That's insane. Still work to do. They're 13-11. The record eyesore is certainly there. What's like the threshold, Jim? 14 losses. We've never had a team over
you
that.
Want to be
large.
You want to be 3 games above 500.
3 games
in
above.
your final record. Yeah.
Yeah, like Cincy, ironically, 58th in average resume, so they're basically neck and neck. But their quality's the quality resume wins look better on paper. Pop 3-5 against Q1A, 4-5 against Q1, 2-4 Q2. The problem is 2 Q3 losses. If we had like the last 12 metrics still, Kansas State might be there. We don't. It's body of work. But I am intrigued by the surge that we've seen from the Wildcats.
Yeah, good luck in the mountains. Got to keep it rolling. Going to BYU in Utah starting on Saturday. That's going to be another true teller for them because they've taken care of business at home and they got that massive blowout at Iowa State that's going to age like fine wine. But got to go do it at elevation now.
And then finally, VCU, Matthew. The hope for the A10 at large, I think pretty much rests on VCU. You could make an argument for Mason, but I think VCU is probably the more likely candidate. They're 20-5. Ken Palm projects them at 25 wins. Not many teams miss the tournament with 25 wins in a year without a bunch of bid stealers. Tier for Indiana State. 53 resume average, 36 predictive. Not supposed to matter for selection, but it helps to be around the top 35 in predictive metrics. 1-1 in Q1, 5-3 in Q2. They have a Q4 loss, though, which is their big eyesore. It's against freaking Seton Hall on a neutral. Hall's just gotten worse and worse outside the top 200 now in Ken Palm. That's really hurt their resume right now.
Yeah, we said it, I believe, on last episode too. That was the opening game of the Charleston Classic. So they got games with Nevada, which they lost, and Miami, Florida, who's garbage, instead of going on to the winner's side, where they would have gotten much better competition, better win opportunities.
Yep.
That game has single-handedly like undermined their at-large resume. The one question, like maybe Mason's a better hope because they go to VCU, and it's a definite Q1 game, whereas hosting George Mason is only a Q2. But yeah, it's as Matt said, like they've got 2 Q2 games and then a bunch of mines that could blow up in their face because the A10
Duquesne,
is
dude,
competitive.
Sorry. Mason goes to Duquesne, and then VCU goes to. They both
VCU
go to
also
Duquesne,
has going to
actually.
Duquesne.
Right.
Yeah, Duquesne could play spoiler. Davidson could play spoiler. St. Joe's could beat George Mason this weekend. Like it's entirely possible.
I mean, shit, Dayton could beat VCU at VCU in the regular season finale. Like I know Kempom has that 8 right now, which is insane. I know Dayton's been like falling off a cliff, but Dayton could easily beat VCU in that game. So,
Worth noting, neither team has beaten a team projected in the field, like even close. The A10 is unfortunately pretty down this year from that perspective.
Yep.
Okay, that was sneaky bubble teams. Jim, over to you for your first thought.
Okay, we're going to take you guys in your brains. We're going to rewind back to the preseason here. I'm going to ask you some questions about how you would have felt about some things we're seeing at this point in the season. And we'll start with this question. Who would it have surprised you more to hear ended up winning a conference regular season title? Michigan or St. John's? Based on how good the Big East and the Big Ten were, who would it have surprised you more, Matthew? St. John's or Michigan?
I think Michigan. You got to beat so many teams. You got to beat so many teams. I think that's just it's hard. The number of horses in the race, good horses.
I think I'm going with Michigan as well, Jim. But it would have surprised me for St. John's to win. You had UConn in the preseason; they were top 10 by everybody. Creighton, Marquette, probably Michigan.
Yeah, I think it is Michigan. But you could also say like, man, no one had separated themselves in that league. It is, regardless, it's shocking to see both of those teams sitting atop the league. I have 5 more questions in this variety. Who did it surprise you more to hear ended up getting a top 5 seed? Mizzou or Wisconsin? This is the Jim Root childhood into college fandom question here. Matt, I'll go to you first here. Wisconsin or Mizzou getting a top 5 seed? What's more surprising?
The answer is Mizzou, I think, but man, people were really down on Wisconsin. Like people really thought this team was going to suck. I mean, this roster on paper, it's like, whoa, there's a Central Arkansas dude playing point guard. Like this team sucks, and like no one took John Tonye seriously because he didn't play last year at your Mizzou Tigers. Good premise, Jim. I think I'm actually more surprised though that Mizzou they didn't win a game last year in conference play, even though
that's a great point.
Yeah, Mizzou hands down with Wisconsin's program history and guards' ability to win without talent, or at least a lot of it. I think Mizzou's the much more surprising team.
Yeah, I think I'll go Wisconsin just because it's roster based. Like you could look at Mizzou's roster and be like, man, Mark Mitchell, Tony Perkins, Tamar Bates, like a lot of really good recruits with actual pedigree. But yeah, I mean, Mizzou's in the top 20 at Ken Pom for the first time in like 15 years or something like that. It's wild.
Swoon.
Smile,
Swoon.
smile. All right, two like this, or two themed like this. Who would have surprised you more to hear "Missed the Dance"? North Carolina or Indiana, based on the hype both teams were getting, the rosters they built, the coaches we don't love. Who would it have surprised you more to hear "Missed the Dance," Kai?
Neither, because both coaches have said for years are horrible. North Carolina is probably my answer.
I think
Yeah,
UNC too. Yeah, I
they
think
had
I
a
had
top
a
five
lot
player
of
in the
faith in.
sport. Everybody
Right.
thought.
Faith in that backcourt, Jim. That's where I put my stake, but that foundation's been rotten, so who knows.
Been shaken. Yeah, I mean the front court hasn't given him much, and Cadeau hasn't quite taken the step that you would want from a second year guy. So yeah, I think I would say UNC is more surprising because there's always a Indiana can miss the tournament. In fact, I tweeted it in like April after they got Miles Rice and Umar Ballo. I was like, I think Indiana's still going to miss the tournament. It got bookmarked by like 700 Indiana fans. So I can't wait to potentially chirp them, although they're in the fight still. The
UNC, Jim, 14th in the ACC in offense, 6th in defense. Like, I think you have to kind of
14th in
like pinch
offense is
yourself.
insane
14th in the ACC in offense.
for
UNC,
that
RJ
that
Davis,
team. Yeah.
Seth Trimble,
Where are the UNC
Ian
fans
Jackson,
at, by the way?
LA Cadeau.
Last year, a lot of beating the chest that Hubert Davis was actually a good coach. Actually, you got to give him credit for the 1 seed. You have to give him credit. He's a good coach. What do you think about missing the tournament 2 out of 4 years in which you're one of the top teams in the country preseason?
Kai, I think they're smacking the eject button on the
Yeah.
Hubert Davis tenure.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think they're out. They're out.
Okay, the Queen City themed question. Who did it surprise you more to hear whiffed on the dance? Cincinnati or Xavier? Xavier got a lot of hype in the preseason,
Tons.
including from us.
Yeah.
To me, it's Xavier. Cincinnati,
Yeah,
like
agree.
I think, was not as good as maybe final records indicate. They blew out Kansas mega shorthanded at the Big 12 tournament. I thought Xavier's going to rock. The guards they brought in, Sean Miller, very good coach. They've actually gotten a almost healthy Fremantle and Hunter the entire season. I know Fremantle missed a couple games. But for me, it's Xavier. Kai, what do you say?
I think Xavier. I thought both these teams would be very, very good, as did most people. Xavier is my answer. Yes.
Matt, agree? Xavier?
I got Xavier. I think Xavier's going to make it, Jim. That was the one I looked at with my thought of like team that I think might just come out of nowhere and get piss hot.
Late board
Like,
bet?
oh yeah, this team has some juice. I think Xavier's a team to
Late board
not
bet?
give up on.
I'll
You don't
board
think so?
bet Xavier doesn't make it. I'm not
Like, have they
impressed.
been that bad in conference play? Like, I don't think they've been that bad at all.
Aren't they like 7-6?
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
it's-
So go since they got
7-7.
healthy, right? Call it beginning of January. They've not
I
been
don't
that
know,
bad.
man. I'm not overly
They
impressed
won at
with what's
Marquette. They
going
beat
on here.
UConn.
Beat Georgetown by 5. They got blown
Yeah,
out.
they've
kind
been
of at
limping by some
Villanova.
close games. The Villanova or the DePaul. I thought they beat DePaul by 14. Never mind.
Should not have beaten Villanova.
Yeah, they
That
got
was lucky.
DePaul at home, Butler at home, at Seton Hall. The worst 3 teams in the conference in their next 3 games. Can't really move the needle in a positive way. Watch out
Yeah.
for a potential landmine there. That is a scary schedule. Okay, last two. Who did it surprise you to hear more made the tournament? Georgia or Oklahoma? 2 teams we discussed earlier. They're both right in the bubble mix. Matt, who
Georgia.
surprised you more?
Georgia, even though I think they were properly hyped coming into the year. Very, very talented, but young. And I think we have a healthy skepticism toward younger teams. So I think Georgia would have been the one I would have been most surprised by.
I think most people would have said Oklahoma because
I agree with
a
that.
lot of people picked them last. I would have said Georgia.
Typical blah roster. I was like, what is Moser doing with this roster?
Oklahoma also was 25 spots ahead of Georgia in the preseason Ken Pom rankings. I think Georgia is the answer.
Yeah, I ranked Oklahoma lower in the SEC. So I guess I got to say them when I wrote the preview. I got to say Oklahoma, but I liked that roster a little more. Georgia's so young. I didn't think they'd be this close to doing it. However, gun to your head, I don't think Georgia makes it this season. I think they're in the middle of a swoon, and that will be part of my next thought. So we'll get to that in a second. And who did it surprise you more to hear made the tourney? This is coaches turning over 100% of the roster edition. West Virginia or Vanderbilt, Kai. And now let's include the caveat: you get only 8 games of Tucker DeVries.
Yeah, West Virginia is the answer.
Yeah.
I felt weird ranking them like 8th in the Big Ten, 12 to start the year, ninth, whatever it was. But they've been feisty. I don't think they're locked, Jim. I'm kind of zooming in on them a little bit. Boy, they're not
Not a lock.
secure.
Not a lock.
They have a lot of good wins in the non-con, thankfully, and in conference play. But I hope they make it. They're really scrappy. Javon Small's been awesome.
Yeah, they have the elite wins that it's going to be hard to toss them out, but they can't drop to like 17 and 14 with a loss in the Big 12 tournament, 17 and 15, then they're done. So they've got to keep winning games. Matt, more surprising, Vandy or West Virginia?
Vandy.
Vandy, okay.
I mean, the Tucker DeVries thing kind of throws a wrench in the whole. If you assume he was fully healthy, I would think I was more confident in West Virginia.
Yeah.
I thought Vandy was just still too mid-majory for me. Like I love Byington, but I just
too mid-majory,
men versus boys, too small.
They're tiny.
Which we've kind of seen exposed at times for sure in SEC play. So it's not all that we weren't all the way wrong, but Byington's still been better than I thought he would be with this roster. I mean, he's got like a baby carry and 6'7" guy playing center.
Sarah
so, yeah.
McLaughlin. Not Sarah McLaughlin. Okay, that's my thought. Kai, I don't know if Matt has a second one. Matt, do you have a second one?
No, my thoughts are always one and done because they're too long and I'm too long-winded. So no, I got nothing else.
My second thought's pretty quick. The old gods are dead, aka surprising conference leaders of conferences that we're just not used to seeing these teams at the top of the totem pole. These are more so just a list. We can talk about it if you want. 6 conferences here. George Mason, we've talked about a couple times. Yeah, they're ahead of the A10 right now. They're the 13th best defense in the country per KenPom. Tony Skinn, greater than sign Kim English. Agree? Disagree?
Hard agree.
Probably.
Hard agree.
Hard agree.
Kai, he's succeeding on the foundation that Kim English built.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Is he staying? Is he looking to move? Hey, join our Discord. We'll be talking about that this summer.
Also didn't mention in the coaching section, Kim English outbursts the ref. Not confirmed,
I didn't really
but
want to get into it.
I was surprised to let that go. I thought you're going to be the bigger man and look the other way.
It looks like it looks like he said, "You racist piece of blank" to the ref. He might not have said that, but it looks like he said that. Whatever. Not a good look. Not a good look for Kimmy. Conference USA, Jacksonville State. This team was great under Ray Harper for years in the Ohio Valley. This team is his second best team in his tenure right now. Surprisingly to me, especially. They were 12-22 the past 2 years in conference play. Injuries have been a part of it. Missing in the transfer portal has been a part of it. But Jacksonville State currently on top of Conference USA is surprising.
I'm pissed Matt stepped away for this because he and I have a Jack State Middle Tennessee board bet, and he said there's absolutely no chance Jacksonville State would be better. And look, they're not that far apart. They're not like way ahead of them right now. But I was in on this Jack State team actually being good.
You were. Yeah, you were. And it's a parody party, but they've been way better than I thought. I think Missouri fans saw that team. Like, I think Mizzou fans would respect that team, right? Like, they look kind of good at Mizzou for stretches.
Yeah.
Did you guys do KenPom or standings?
I believe KenPom.
Nine spots apart. This is going to be.
I have a chance in KenPom. I do have a chance in KenPom because this
league
is the epitome of parody party.
Yeah, 1.5 back. Yeah. The WAC, Utah Valley is number 1. 5th in the preseason poll. Yeah. What a job. Oh my gosh, can't even think of the coach's name. Why
Todd Phillips,
baby.
Director of The Hangover and Joker.
Yeah, what a job by Todd Phillips taking over for Mattson. Fantastic. Number 1. I don't think they're going to finish there. I still, I guess, wrongly doubt this team. Number 1 offense in the league, though. They've been fantastic. Especially
I had
huge.
No idea this one was coming. No idea.
Yeah. In the horizon, Cleveland State, 7th in the preseason poll. They're now 1.5 games up in the league. Robert Morris is insanely on fire right now. They just took them down, but Cleveland State still in the pole position right now in the horizon. Impressive.
And Kai, we're begging them to hang on.
Please hang on.
20-1 tickets.
Yeah, yes. That's a really nice ticket. I like to cash. Omaha on the Summit. This makes no sense to me still. I'm sorry. He's got good pieces. Crutchfield, I think, is a really good coach, but I just cannot believe that they're number 1 in the Summit right now, ahead of South Dakota State, North Dakota State, and St. Thomas. 3 teams I think are pretty darn good.
they're still somehow the best 3-point shooting team in this conference that's loaded with incredible shooting teams.
Yeah.
They're shooting 42% in league play. And Kai, I assume you've seen all the garbage can stuff that they do after games to celebrate.
No, what do they do with garbage cans?
They destroy a garbage can after every win, and like they bring a coach in to do like the people's elbow on a garbage can, or they like it just all
Kai,
kinds of bits in the locker room. It's good
Kai,
celebrations.
you're not a wrestling guy, are you, Kai? No, you're not.
No,
are you? That's
no,
like
not
our buddy
really.
Mike Cohen is. That's about it.
Yeah.
Mike Cohen would appreciate this shit. Like, Kai's not a
He would-
wrestling guy. He wouldn't appreciate
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
Cohen might be the biggest Omaha fan in the country if he saw all the stuff they're doing.
They clearly got great chemistry. So they're at St. Thomas this weekend. That's kind of the game for the conference. They should probably win the rest of them. All the Roos are feisty on Wednesday. And then
This
finally,
is the year.
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, this is the year of the D3 uprisers. St. Thomas is winning this league. They're going to go to the dance as they're with
They
their
can't.
bid,
They
right?
can't. It's
They're
the
like, oh,
last-
this last.
Last year they can't.
yeah,
Yeah.
sucks.
They will next year. Yeah, it does suck. That sucks a lot, actually.
Finally, in the Patriot, American is in first place. Colgate is tied for third. Colgate was 6-1, and now they're 8-5 in the league. That might be the most surprising stat in this entire section. Colgate being third. So American, congrats so far.
Yeah, this is the first time Colgate got hurt by a transfer with Braden Smith going to Gonzaga, and it's just like clearly disrupted the assembly line of awesome teams. The machine had to recalibrate and didn't quite have the parts ready for it. So it's been the down year for the Raiders.
Okay, that was my second thought, Jim. Do you want to do yours?
Yep, mine is also quick. It's called the SEC separation, and I think the league's starting to feel the squeeze of trying to have 14 teams in the tournament. It's just kind of untenable, especially with how good the top is. Like it's not like they have teams where everybody's a 4 or 5 seed. You have 4 teams in contention for a 1 seed. So it's really hard to continually have big bubble wins. So Georgia, Texas, and Oklahoma all went 0-2 this last week. Teams that are sinking towards the bubble. They all have 8 league losses already. Difficult league schedules coming up. Now, Texas has way less margin for error because they played arguably the worst non-conference schedule in the country. They had like 9 bye games. They didn't have any notable wins. Like all of their good wins are in SEC play. So they've got kind of like I said, narrow margin for error. Oklahoma, on the other hand, undefeated in league play, won the battle for Atlantis, got some big-time neutral site wins. They are actually in decent shape. Georgia, I worry about a lot with hosting Mizzou, going to Auburn, hosting Florida. Like that's a pretty realistic 4-11 in league play, and you're really starting to get dicey. And then Arkansas, also worth mentioning here, 4-7 in the league, and their upcoming schedule is at Texas A&M, again top 15 team for KenPom in the mix for 2 seed, at Auburn, and then Kai, our Tigers could potentially kill them in Fayetteville in the old rivalry game, put them down to 10 league losses. They've only got the Michigan win and a neutral in the non-con to fall back on. I'm starting to wonder how many teams this league's going to get. I think there's 10 that look really good, and even Vandy you could put in this bubble mix. But I don't know that we're getting 3 of these teams. I'm not sure we're getting 2. So it could end up being they get 11 or 12. I think I saw Brad Wachtel on Fielding 68 say that he thinks it'll be 11 or 12. I actually think that's where it's going to settle. Kai, is that crazy?
No, I don't think so. It's going to be a very interesting selection this season because of how good the SEC is. You're going to have teams with ugly records like these 4 teams that are ahead of a bunch of other teams in metrics and quality wins even, but they've just gotten beaten up by the best conference in perhaps the past 20 years. It's going to be weird. SMU is 4-8, 3-8 in this league right now. So just put that in perspective. 2-9,
maybe
2-10.
They might be
1-1.
down there with LSU. Yeah,
it's just a different level of league.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Oklahoma went 6-12 in the league, they should be in.
Yeah,
but there's going to be your sticklers out there. Like if they can't even go 500 in their conference, why do they deserve to be in? It's like, well, if you swap them with anybody else, like, I don't think UC Irvine's going 9-9 in this SEC. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's going to be an outcry, but it's not on the team sheet. So conference record doesn't matter. Look at the resume in the whole. That's it, Kai. That's my thought. Just some concern about the SEC's bubble.
All right, fantastic. And Matthew, you're done as well, you said?
I'm done.
Okay. Then we head to our weekend preview section. A quick section, fellas, because we do have a Best Bet show tomorrow, Saturday, 10 a.m. Central. Our Best Bet show will cover the enormous Saturday slate. So check that out if you want in-depth betting opinions on the games, and you can ask about as many as you want. We're gonna hit some quick ones though right now, super quick because this one is today and the shelf life is 0. UCLA goes to Indiana. Matthew, Indiana trying to get back in the tournament picture. We'll see. UCLA going from west to east, we know is bad news. Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean the West to East thing. I think that it's specific, case by case. This one is kind of tough. They have to go. We're Illinois on Tuesday and then Indiana too. So it's 3 games in 5 days. I still think UCLA wins this game off the loss at Illinois. Again, they kind of came back and played well late. Better matchup for UCLA. I think Illinois is a bad matchup for UCLA. UCLA matches up much better with Indiana, just a more traditional look. And I think Indiana at home, like I said, is going to be kind of a pumpkin down the stretch.
Yeah, it could be. UCLA dealing with the flu a little bit. Like Ademara only played 8 games last game, or 8 minutes last game. You need him against Ballo, but I like UCLA. Picked him to win. Wrote it up for Action Network as a best bet, so I think the Bruins do win.
I'm on the fence. How about that? Good job, Kai.
Wow. Hope it doesn't get up your butt crack there, Kai, sitting on a fence like that.
Jim. Hey, Saturday, 3 of them. The Iron Bowl is suddenly a basketball rivalry because it's number 1 and number 2 in the country. Auburn goes to Alabama. The Tigers are 2-point favorites at Alabama. The total is going to be over 170. Ken Pom's thrill score is one of the biggest of all time. We have to ask Ken what the biggest is all time. He's answered this question before. I just can't remember. And they've also split the last 6 meetings between the two teams, Auburn and Alabama. 2 great coaches, 2 great programs. Jim, who do you have in this game?
Kai, I'm going with Auburn on the road, and I don't feel good about it. I was hoping that there was a Bruce Pearl kind of owns Nate Oates trend, and there's not. It's basically coin flippy for years and years. It's probably going to be a good live betting game because the amount of runs that both teams can go on, the amount of high scoring that there's going to be. So back and forth, seesaw type stuff. But I think Auburn kind of owns the rim a little bit more than Alabama does. And with the way Alabama plays so rim and 3 oriented, if they become too 3-ball reliant, that's a problem. I think the Broom Cardwell duo and even Chaney Johnson, who has been a freaking star recently, that's the difference for me. Awesome. I think they win the paint.
Yeah, I'm with Joe on that one. I think it's a paint bloodbath. How do you pick here? Or are you going to fence ride?
I'm going to Alabama.
SEC home.
SEC
I
home.
think I've been the most not skeptical, but not like as impressed as Alabama as you guys have. They've been like awesome. I don't know why I'm not reluctant to be like crown them.
But they've been.
I haven't crowned them at the Duke or Auburn level yet. And I feel like.
I think Auburn's better. Is Chaney Johnson a pro? By the way,
Duke's better too.
I was watching. I was like, this guy is a freaking pro. I have to ask.
He's an insane athlete.
He's really good. His
Aiden Holloway revenge, Kai.
He had like one dribble step layup from the 3-point line with a guy defending him. I was like, this is freak stuff. Anyways, Houston.
Yeah. I guess my concern there is Chad Baker-Mazara like punches a fan in the face.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a whole disaster.
High Tide. That's the chat. Yes, very good.
That was me.
You said that? High Tide. High Tide. I like it. Houston at Arizona. This is the Big 12 title race. If Houston wins, great shape. I think they go up 2 games on Arizona if they win this game. Of course, it's at Arizona. Houston 2-point favorite on the road. Matthew, you've hated the Cougars all season, so you taking Arizona?
Yeah, I kind of. No, I like Houston here. I don't know if I hated Houston all season. I've just been, again, similar to my Alabama thing, reluctant to crown them. And again, that was a point in time discussion. I thought they were banged up and not, I think, vulnerable. And they were vulnerable for a little bit there, but they've been awesome in Big 12 play, just like last year. Just phenomenal. But so is Arizona. It's funny, like these 2 new Big 12 teams have not had any like lack of familiarity issues. If anything, I think the newness of them has given them an edge to some degree. Teams coming to their place and their styles both travel very well, right? Arizona, not as physical as Houston, but I think they're becoming more physical with their with playing bigger. I know those bigs are younger and more, European and not as tough, but I think that style has sort of helped them play well on the road. Also, my guy Jaden Bradley's awesome. I know everyone's talking about Caleb Love. Jaden Bradley rocks, and he's playing like a rock star. Most underrated guard in this league. But
you might be. Yeah, I'm taking Houston as well. That style travels. The defense is great. seems like they're healthier. Cryer played 30 plus minutes, looked okay. Francis got up to 13 minutes after sitting and then playing 4 minutes. And Sharp returned, played 25 minutes against Baylor. Like they're getting there, coming along, and they've been off since Monday, which I think is really helpful for that team.
Houston, please take money. Arizona would love a pick. They're going to put Caleb Love in hell. They're going to pressure the heck out of him. God. This team is so good. Come on. Houston. Houston is my pick. Michigan State at Illinois, the final one on Saturday. We'll talk about the Illini -4. Michigan State off an Indiana loss. Oh, my goodness. Jim, are the Spartans, they're in a tailspin. Are they showing their true colors, or is it merely a blip on the radar?
It's a little more blip. I think a lot of people are like, oh, they're playing real teams. Look what happens. I'm not quite to that extent with them, but they do have some scoring droughts because they can't make jumpers. That remains an issue. They're playing a lot too big. Spacing sucks a problem. All that said, I think Illinois like boat races them here. I think Illinois is mad about the loss at Michigan State when Yakuchonis played 9 minutes and just was like getting awful foul calls until his fifth, which was a clear fifth foul. But yeah, I think Illinois is trending up, Matt. They're healthier, less illness, injury stuff. And Michigan State's kind of in this Izzo February swoon that is somewhat of a trend for him. So yeah, I think Illinois wins by like 10 plus. I will bet Illinois.
I agree. I love it. I hope that people have gotten off the Illinois bandwagon to make room for me because I've been on for about a few weeks now. So I'm staying on here. I think they win.
It'll probably
better
be
matchup.
-6 for you gamblers.
I think it's
there.
6. Yeah, it won't be -4.
They were 6.5 against UCLA, and it was 4 in Ken Palm. So I could see that same thing happening here.
Illinois for me as well, Jim. One of the very few teams that can actually stand up to Michigan State on the glass, which has been Michigan State's like bread and butter. This is why we beat you. We're going to out physical you. Illinois is a fantastic defensive rebounding team. Illinois for me. And then finally Sunday, an enormous game for the Big East title. Creighton at St. John's. The Johnnies -6 per KenPom. A Creighton win would be a tie in the standings, and they hold the tiebreaker. A lot of drama here. St. John's off, Villanova loss. Matthew, thoughts on who wins this game?
The John boys. Creighton's been great, man. Like, I think we need to I don't know if we talked enough about how good they've been. Again, Big East, easy to rack up long winning streaks when you have a lot of, I would say, mesh in the middle and bottom of that totem pole. But they have been great. Just a bad matchup here. I think Creighton, I think the St. John's pressure wears on them. And I know Creighton basically withstood many questions of being able to handle pressure this year. I recognize that, so I don't want to keep beating the same drum, how well they played against Marquette, for example. But I like the John boys here.
I like Johnny's a lot with the revenge angle, awful loss at home in this massive, massive spot in that building. It's going to be electric in there. Stephen Ashworth had 10 turnovers at home against St. John's. I could see that being a real issue against the pressure, the athleticism of St. John's. And I think the biggest difference from that first matchup where Creighton forces a lot of jumpers, and that's an issue for St. John's. They struggle to score. The biggest difference is Kadari Richmond's playing a lot better, and I think he's going to eat in the mid-range against that deep drop against Kalkbrenner. Those pull-ups at the free throw line. RJ Lewis has been better in that range too, kind of the floater range. I think you get a lot more production out of Richmond and Lewis, who combined for 17 in that game at Creighton. I think they combined for 30 in this one.
Ugly game, the first game. 57-56. Yeah, Creighton 19 turnovers, Jim. Ashworth had 10 of them. St. John's was 39% from 2. I do think St. John's takes it. I'd hope it wouldn't get to like the 8, but
St. John's took 15 more shots in that game, Matthew, for your shot volume love. And that was on the road. They took 15 more. So I think they win.
I do think they need Davion Smith back. Jim, I remember I was like, he's not good. And you're like, no, trust me, he's good. And now that I'm on board with how important he is, I feel like that's kind of an under the radar storyline heading down the stretch for a Johnny's team that can't shoot and I think needs an offensive jolt every once in a while. So,
all right, good job, good weekend previews, fellas. Let's finish the show with the review section. Like I said at the beginning, we have 2 reviews and one is strange. I hate that we have to give this guy attention, but we're going to because that's our policy, Gary. I won't change our policy. The first one from Aha BJD Duduk. A crime. This is only once a week. He said if he won the lottery, he would use $500,000 and give it to the guys to get 3 episodes a week. That would do it.
I would do 3 episodes a week for
I
a
know.
third of
He said
$500,000.
$500,000. Oh, yo, good. I thought you were gonna say less. Yes, not a penny less, Jim.
I said for a third. Yeah, no,
Third
I'm not gonna
per
negotiate
year.
against myself, Kai.
Per year.
I wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Do it per year, and I'm in. I'm in. Thank you. Okay, and then the 1-star review. I say this is weird because he's bringing up a passing thought that we had last year. So, USA Red Devil 1-star court storming is the topic here. I don't even think we had this take. Again, this is what I'm weird about. We'll upgrade to 5 stars once you guys actually talk about Kyle Filipowski rocking that fan for no reason last year. There was one of you three with a stinky take that needs addressed. First of all, I was always Team Filipowski was in the wrong there and flopped. Yeah. And I think you guys were as well. So I don't know what this is about.
Yeah, maybe we'd have to go back and listen.
What was my take on that?
Maybe Matt was defending Filipowski.
Matt probably thought
He's a Duke
Filipowski
apologist.
was attacked,
yeah.
just standing up for that devastating injury.
Does he have the wrong podcast? Maybe he has the wrong podcast.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
I'm always pro
like
court storming. It's pretty easy to avoid fans. I don't think this was a malicious going after him. I think Flip was a little more in the wrong too.
Yeah, I think he definitely milked it for sure. I don't know I'll have to go back and listen to what I said. But anyway, I mean, how about can we dovetail this into an actual relevant topic with the SEC commissioner saying we should be forfeiting games for court storming, like the most insane proposition of all time? Like, what are we doing? Stop.
That's so dumb. You're just finding teams. The SEC makes money when court storms happen, so get over it. As a conference, they just pay in.
You lose.
Vandy's
Great
paid
game. Lose.
Vandy rushed the field once in football and twice in basketball. They paid a ton of fines. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I don't
Storm away,
recognize.
kids.
I don't recognize this world anymore.
Oh, get off Kai's lawn. Get off his lawn.
What a ridiculous statement. God. All right, that was it. That was our weekly podcast episode. Thanks for joining us. Again, if interested, Best Bet Show is tomorrow on Saturday, 10 a.m. Central. We'll be back next week with another podcast episode of this ilk, Friday, 7 a.m. Central. Join us then. Enjoy your weekend. And, of course, enjoy college